Good morning, beautiful people of the center. If you enjoyed this singing, and I heard you singing, it's so beautiful, on Wednesday evening there's going to be a whole hour and a half of that, and the violin and the bass and tablas and flute and singers. So make a date, and Mr. Edwards will remind us again at the end of the service so that when you go home you can make a note to come along and sing for a whole hour and a half devotional chants. Today is this is Memorial Day weekend, and it is our tradition on Memorial Day weekend to take a moment to consider those people who have given their lives in service to others. And if you want to expand on that also, you might want to think about people who have made sacrifices so that your life could be better, people you know perhaps even. So I invite you to take a moment with me to breathe in and let your eyes close so that each one of us in our own way and according to our own faith can say a prayer, a silent prayer of gratitude and acknowledgement. And I thank you for taking this time with me. Every time I do consider the people who have made sacrifices so that my life may be easier, it fills me up with humility and awe at how many people contribute to my life's ease. And I'm deeply grateful. And you know, it inspires me to be a better person. I have an announcement to share with you about our center, and it is this, that some of you know Reverend Jeff Anderson from his speaking engagements here and on Sunday evenings and Wednesday evening, and many of you will know Reverend Lisa Hamilton, who provides the music on Sunday evenings quite frequently and is active in the education ministry. Well, the Center for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa is establishing an outreach ministry in Healdsburg by means of Reverend Lisa and Reverend Jeff. So, yeah. So, they're going to be providing Wednesday evening services starting on July 4th. And so by next week, we'll have information for you and directions and everything. And so we're going to write to all of our people up that way in the surrounding areas to let them know that we're doing this. It's a wonderful practice. We might be the very first center to mindfully and intentionally seed a community in a nearby city. And we're doing it the right way because, you know, look, people love to go to something that's already successful and popular. So we're going to send people. You know, we're going to let everybody go, be the crowd. You know, why not? And enjoy it until it can stand on its own 2 feet. And it is a delight to be able to do it this way, so mindfully and from within our own love to provide something in Healdsburg. So I'll let you know more about that. I have a topic this morning. The topic is, what are you definite about? And when that topic, when I became aware that that was the topic, what came to mind was an email that came through my inbox from our headquarters in Golden, Colorado, from our community spiritual leader, who is Dr. Ken Gordon. Now, that position in our movement is the person who is the spokesperson for our movement, who articulates our spiritual values and vision. And Dr. Ken Gordon gave a press release that's entitled, "Marriage Equality Affirms Basic Human Rights." And here's the press release. Golden, Colorado Center for Spiritual Living, a trans-denominational spiritual organization that has been in existence for over 80 years, today affirmed its view that marriage equality is not about politics, but rather about basic human rights. Reverend Dr. Ken Gordon, spiritual leader of Centers for Spiritual Living, said, "We support marriage equality. We consider marriage equality a human right and see it, therefore, not as a political question, but a spiritual one. Centers for Spiritual Living teaches that there is an essential unity underlying all apparent differences, and consequently honors all faiths, understanding that each religion has within it a golden thread of truth. He says, we believe that love is the foundation of all major religious philosophies, and therefore we support the expression of love in same-sex couples and the right of same-sex couples to marry. Centers for Spiritual Living welcomes gays and lesbians and transgender and questioning and bisexual and every kind of person, I might add, into their spiritual centers. He says, we endeavor to get to the spiritual truth of the matter, and through that lens, we see that marriage equality is about human and civil rights. When I read that, I stood up at the computer and applauded, because that's definite. He's definite about that, and you know what? It matches my feeling and thought. And when I am definite about what I stand for, it helps me and it helps people around me to know where I am. It's a good thing to get clear on what I think. And it can be challenging on topics like this that can be emotionally charged and bring up the discussion of right and wrong and push a whole multitude of buttons. I've been thinking about that and how important it is for me in this day of internet and movie and television, where your opinion can be provided for you right quick with no charge. For me to really practice thinking for myself and not simply accepting an idea because it is common to do so. I don't want to be common. We're not common. What we think matters. And I learned at the Center for Spiritual Living, however, that when people like you and me, when we fall asleep on the job of being awake, or when we are unmindful about what passes through our awareness and we're not paying attention, sometimes it is the case that we become susceptible to the dominant idea in the group mind. And for me, I noticed that the more people who appear to believe it, the truer it appears to me. I read it on the internet in 27 articles. It must be true. So I'm looking at that, And at the center, I also learned the value of granting other people the freedom to have their experience of their own opinion. How important that is, while remaining clear on what mine is. To allow that. And I also learned that there's tremendous value in periodically checking in to see if my thinking is stale or stuck or wrong. When I first started studying at the Center for Spiritual Living and looking into my inner world, it was a surprise to me, really, to discover that many of the thoughts that were in there weren't even mine. And I didn't know that anything could be done about that. So it was great news that there were options. For example, there were some thoughts in there that I had inherited from my family. Can you find a thought that you inherited from your family? Some of it's good, but some of it's not so good. Or there were other thoughts that were taught to me by teachers, well-meaning teachers. And growing up in South Africa, there were some thoughts that were taught to me that were just plain wrong. I didn't know. Somebody in authority was giving it to me. I took it. And there were other thoughts that I just copied from my peer group because I wanted to be like them, popular, or from role models. It could be good, could be bad, who's to say? Or there were the ideas in there that I discovered that I don't know how they just seeped in by osmosis from being in society, from being in the flow of how the thought is going. And I didn't know that it was okay to press the pause button and ask, do I really think that? I didn't know it was okay to turn completely in the other direction of the entire group mind and ask the question, where did this idea come from, and do I agree with it? That was new for me. Have I checked the accuracy of this claim? I also learned to pay attention to thoughts other people have and opinions other people have that make me angry. Because, when I'm definite about something, and I don't mean definite in like rigid way, I mean definite as in investigated, clear. When I'm definite about something, it's much less easy to make me angry if you have an opposing view. And I learned from the Four Agreements a great illustration in this regard. For example, if you come up to me and say to me, well, Edward, you're green with purple stripes, I'm going to say, well, I've inquired into it and I'm not. But if you say to me something that resembles a seed that I already planted in my own unsureness, it's going to take hold. Like if you come up to me and say to me, you are unkind. Well, no, you're unkind. How can you think that? What made you think that? And I can see that. I can see that now I've learned to let my reaction be my teacher. So that when I am reacting, it's a sign for me to find my center of certainty, that place of peaceful awareness, and then from that, I can let everyone else have their opinion. Same-gender marriages will destroy conventional families. Well, I've inquired into that. No. And as soon as it is possible, I will marry them with dignity and respect, and until then, I will provide whatever services I can so that their love commitment may be honored in their spiritual community. The Bible condemns homosexuality. Well, respectfully, I don't share the same opinion. And I simply do not believe everything that is written in the Bible. I'm sorry. I'm definite about that. I also learned from studying at the Center for Spiritual Living that you and I, we have the ability, apparently, to make different choices about how we show up in the world. I'm talking about how we behave and how we act in the world. Apparently, there's a lot of freedom there. So the idea is that how I am today doesn't have to be how I will always be. That was great news, too. And, I thought about that. If I discover I'm jealous, well, it's not permanent. That's great. It's not a sentence. Isn't that wonderful? Or if I discover I'm insecure, to learn that that's changeable, can be developed. Or how about if I discover I'm selfish, to know that there are infinite varieties of other ways I can express. Or even the fine qualities, if I notice I'm creative, to know that I haven't even yet exploited all the other possible infinite ways that I can use and express that creativity. There's a law of increase. It's the way of things. It's how life is. If I'm kind, well, I don't have to settle on that. I can be other things too, compassionate, participating. Life. And and I believe it, that there is this freedom, and although there is a lot of freedom, there is, however, according to this way of thinking, also a regulating feature in the universe. It is called the law of reciprocity. And it's important to keep in mind. It's known also by this term, the rule of consequences. Or it is the cause-effect relationship. That's very complex. Let's simplify it, because I think there are several key points that can help us with this topic about being definite. Okay, 3 important points that use the familiar metaphor of gardening. First one, we harvest in accordance with the kind of seed that we plant, generally. In other words, there's a relationship between my inner life and my outer experience. Or in simple terms of the gardening metaphor, if I plant a tomato seed, I can fully expect to have a tomato plant and not be surprised by a pumpkin. Well, life is not as simple as that gardening metaphor. So I tend to think of it more in terms of trends. I think of it this way. When I'm consistently combative or consistently sarcastic, then over time it creates an atmosphere around me that is attractive to people who cherish that and flourish in that. That's how it shows up for me. So that's the first key. Here's the second key in understanding the law of reciprocity. This is a good one. It goes like this. We reap much more than we sow. Yeah. You know, when I was young in school in South Africa, one of the projects we got to do was to take a sunflower seed home and put it on a saucer on like a Kleenex tissue and then keep that wet, you know, the routine, and to make, so it was a way to watch it germinate, and then at some particular point put it into the ground, into the soil, and watch it turn into a sunflower and miraculously produce so many seeds. Fantastic. That is the law of increase. And I see it in my life. I can see it illustrated in my life, how one act of kindness reproduces itself in the form of kind connections, gentle, wonderful experiences, just way more than what I invested. I think that's why I frequently pray for other people. Because I just know that the return on my investment is going to be good for all of us. I'm not a fool, you know. Plant those seeds. It's fantastic. And it's the same, you know, with a weed. Don't you know? You only need one to establish itself in the beautiful new flower bed. And doesn't it seem you spend the rest of your life trying to get rid of it? There it is, popping up, even on the concrete. How does it know? It's the law of increase. And I see that in my life. It's one act of unkindness. It's just one act of selfishness. And you know, it takes much longer to clean up than I expected. So whether planting weeds or seeds, I'm talking metaphorically now, I try to keep the law of increase in mind, and it helps me think about what I'm precisely contributing to this life, and it helps me ask the question, do I want more of this or that? Because I'm going to get it. It's the law of increase. It taught me to be a little more definite. The third element of this law of reciprocity is this. It takes time to reap what we have sown. And because I don't immediately see the results of what I'm putting out there, I can see myself sometimes thinking that my effort is in vain. And so I slip into common thought, averageness, and randomness. And I describe that as the way of things. Or worse, more importantly, because I tell myself, when I cannot see the connection, that there is no connection between what is going on inside and the world around me, that it doesn't matter. And I don't think that's right. I think it matters. I think you matter more than you and I can even comprehend. So it's something to keep in mind when exercising freedom. It's this: obey the law of reciprocity. And let it help you to remember that just because you have the freedom and the possibility to do everything and anything, it doesn't necessarily mean that all things are beneficial. So be definite and mindful and responsible. So the topic is, what are you definite about? Do you know? Someone once taught me that if I want to know what I'm definite about, if I want to find out what I stand for in this life, that it's fairly easy to do. She said, just look at your actions in the world and it will tell you everything you need to know about what you have faith in, about what you trust, and about who you are. I really thought about that. And here's how she put it. She said, do people know you by what you say or by what you do? That stuck with me. And I think today that no matter what I say to you this morning, what I do later is probably a more reliable description of who I am, what I trust, what I have faith in, what I believe. It's going to show up. She said to me, and this was the gift, I think. She said, start acting like the person you say you want to be. And from that time, what started for me was a lifelong redesign and inquiry and checking to see. I had to ask, what would a kind person show up like? And see if I could be that little bit by little bit by little bit. I don't know if you're aware of this, but at the back of this year's book, A New Design for Living, is an appendix in which there are, dozens of prayer meditations that are perfect for just the work we're doing. And I want to read to you several that have something to do with our topic today. And Chris is going to set the tone for us to do that. You're welcome to sing along with him in between prayers, and I invite you to breathe in and exhale and let your eyes close if that is comfortable to do so.
Every thought is a prayer. Every prayer is a flower. Let it bloom in the sunshine of God's love.
Today I practice being my real self. And in so doing, I do not deny others the same privilege, but seek to find in them the same miracle of life, the same wonder of being, the same delight in existence that is in me. Today, I realize that all the good there is immediately available to me and to everyone else, and immediately responsive to this thought of prayer. Today, I enter even deeper into the faith of my believing, into the joy of my knowing that I and all people, that we are one with that power that is life. And so today I accept it. I accept it as a warm, personal, colorful presence. It is within me and around me and in my thought.
Every thought is a prayer. Every prayer is a flower. Let it bloom in the sunshine of God's love.
And so it is that I begin again to express myself with joy and easy enthusiasm. I move through this world easily, and I accept the possibility of growth and the responsibility of my choices. I look more deeply into the heart of all people and find there the pulsation of the heart of the universe itself. And so I look through all externals to discover there the divine presence hidden there, looking back in me. And I know in this is my own self-seeking. This is my self-expression of the abundance of the whole, that I see around me that which is holy and divine.
Every thought is a prayer. Every prayer is a flower. Let it bloom in the sunshine of God's love.
And so I am led today through this prayer to forgive everyone and everything, and to accept also for myself forgiveness. I begin to know again that the eternal Spirit harbors no malice towards anyone or anything. And with this in mind, I have an internal sense of peace and definite tranquility. There is no more anxiety, no sense of fear, no judgment, as all of the past is made even, and I stand firmly in this present moment, ready to be the best me I can be.
Every thought is a prayer. Every prayer is a flower. Let it bloom in the sunshine of God's love.
And today my love goes out from me to all people and to all situations. There is no fear in this love, for perfect love casts out all fear. There is no doubt in this love, for faith penetrates all doubt and reveals a unity at the center of everything. This love flowing through me harmonizes me to everything in my experience. It brings joy and gladness to everything. It establishes a sense of security and well-being, and I realize that the love flowing through me is God expressing. I am its channel and expression and its outer form. And all is well. I invite you to breathe in with me and exhale into a moment of quiet contemplation. And once again, a deep breath in, followed by a sigh. And with that sigh, we build the transition to that part of our service where we share together. Won't you please take your gift in your hand as the ushers stand? And will you say after me, I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal and prosper. It does great work in the world. Thank you very much, ushers. Please receive the gift.